Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are back again with another interesting watch along, and I'm going to need every single one of you to fasten your seatbelts because we are about to dive down another rabbit hole as we usually do on this channel. If you like diving down rabbit holes, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're newly watching. This one is extremely interesting, a production produced by The Truth Is. Link to the channel can be found in the title of this video, but this one's titled, "This Movie Exposed What Happens at Elite Parties." In this one, The Truth Is explores how films like What You Wish For and Fresh, and I've never heard of these films before, they use extreme cinematic metaphors to comment on the power dynamics and the hidden societies of the ultra wealthy. In this production, they analyze the reoccurring themes of exploitation in high society and examine the historical events and real world events that inspire these unsettling cinematic narratives. I'm gonna need you to fasten your seatbelts and let's get into it.
This movie told us exactly what happens at elite private parties, or more specifically, what they serve. In What You Wish For, a chef is offered hundreds of thousands of dollars to cook for just one night. The only catch is that his ultra-wealthy clients have an appetite for something usually kept off the menu: human. While a plot this dark seems like pure fiction, the reality is actually much stranger. From exclusive galas where the dessert is shaped like human bodies, to high society gatherings where tables are decorated with body parts, by the end of this video, you will see how this film exposes the elite's real-life obsession with these bizarre secretive gatherings. In What You Wish For, a chef named Ryan travels to Colombia to stay with his old friend Jack from culinary school. He quickly discovers that Jack is living in a stunning, luxurious high-end mansion. Curious about how his old classmate can afford such an incredible lavish lifestyle, Ryan questions Jack about his line of work. Jack reveals that he cooks for a highly secretive organization known only as the Agency. They organize exclusive dinner parties all over the globe, specifically catering to elite diners. They pay astronomical amounts and were the ones who provided the massive estate. A few days later, Ryan discovers Jack dangling on a rope, completely broken by the dark reality of his profession. Instead of calling the authorities and risking an investigation, Ryan makes the calculated decision to hide what happened and assume Jack's identity to secure the wealth for himself. The very next day, the Agency shows up at the estate to prepare for the upcoming event. The organizer mistakes Ryan for Jack, fully believing he is the chef they hired. Ryan chooses to play along with the facade, hoping to walk away with the massive payout. He is promised $300,000 to cook for just one private dinner. But when he tells the Agency he has not yet sourced the ingredients for the event, things quickly descend into absolute madness. Ryan finally figures out the horrifying truth about Jack's job, and it goes far beyond anything he could have imagined. Ryan is told that this is no regular dining experience. There is no chicken, pork, or beef on the menu. What he will be cooking is far more exclusive. He discovers that the Agency offers its wealthy clients a cut of meat that isn't sold at markets. They crave human flesh, which he will have to source directly from the local population and prepare himself. After accompanying the Agency to hunt for victims,
Sorry, I gotta pause it at this point. I bet he wished he never assumed this role. He should have phoned the authorities and told them about his friend instead of just covering this all up.
Capture a local man who they terminate and bring back to be used as the main course. Once Ryan realizes the terrifying severity of the situation, he attempts a desperate escape, but he is stopped and given a final ultimatum. If he tries to run, he will immediately become the next ingredient. By the end of the movie, Ryan finds himself permanently trapped in his new position, forever forced to cook for the cannibal elite. On the surface, this is just another interesting thriller film that most people will simply watch and forget about. But when you dig just a little deeper, you start to realize this movie is exposing a very real and highly twisted reality. It is a documented fact that some of the wealthiest people on the planet are also some of the most bizarre individuals imaginable. On their desperate quest to further detach themselves from the working class and prove their absolute superiority, they constantly participate in activities the general public finds deeply disturbing. They have a psychological obsession with crossing boundaries that regular people would never even consider touching. While we have no evidence that these real-world elite gatherings serve anything illegal on their menu, we do know that they have absolutely no problem pretending to. A specific world-famous performance artist is heavily known for hosting incredibly strange and over-the-top gatherings. She organizes highly exclusive private dinner parties for some of the most powerful elites in both business and entertainment. At one of these infamous art gala events, she surprised her guests with the main dessert. It was a massive cake molded to look exactly like an ultra-realistic human body. The cake was meticulously sliced and passed around to the room, with some of the wealthy guests even eating directly off the lifelike figure. Even knowing this was technically just a sweet dessert, the underlying concept remains deeply disturbing to witness. Those who attended this high society dinner party were essentially simulating the horrific act of eating another person. By molding the cake in such a highly detailed way, the organizers created a dark environment where the guests could casually pretend to commit the act. The entire visual aesthetic of this entire event was incredibly disturbing. There are verified photographs of massive celebrities just hanging out, eating this cake, and having a great time as if this entire situation was completely normal. This perfectly mirrors the exact environment we just witnessed in the movie What You Wish For. The elite are more than willing to pay ridiculous amounts of money to participate in an exclusive and bizarre experience meant to further separate them from everyday people. In the movie, they achieve this by literally consuming the locals. In the real world, they commission ultra-realistic human cakes and pretend to do the exact same thing just for the thrill of the performance. This bizarre obsession with twisted gatherings goes back much further than modern performance art. Decades ago, one of the most notoriously wealthy European banking dynasties hosted a private event that perfectly mirrors the atmosphere of these movies. In 1972, this family held an infamous surrealist ball at their massive French estate. The invitation itself was written backwards. Guests were forced to hold the card up to a mirror just to read the location. When the most wealthy and famous individuals arrived, they found the entire exterior of the mansion glowing in bright red light. The building was specifically designed to look like it was literally on fire. Inside, the guests were required to wear the most bizarre masks imaginable. People arrived with their faces covered by bird cages, animal heads, and multiple fake eyes. The verified photographs from this highly exclusive night looked like scenes pulled directly out of a psychological horror film. The dining tables were decorated with broken dolls and taxidermy animals. The elite attendees viewed this entire terrifying spectacle as the peak of high society entertainment. Just like the secretive clients in What You Wish For, these individuals used their extreme wealth to create an isolated environment where the normal rules of society completely vanish. The wealthy characters in the film hide behind closed doors to consume an unthinkable menu. The most powerful financial dynasties in reality wear literal masks and surround themselves with deeply disturbing imagery under the guise of high art. Both scenarios expose a group of people desperate to prove they operate on a completely different level than the rest of humanity. What is interesting is that this isn't the only movie that pushes this message. In the movie Fresh, we see a very similar concept, but instead of a chef whipping up human for an elite dinner party, this movie follows a butcher who vets women to sell their meat to wealthy buyers. In Fresh, a man named Brendan goes around befriending women. After a few dates, he invites them on a vacation getaway, but when they meet up with him, they're never seen again. Brendan traps them in a highly secure, hidden facility. Little by little, he surgically removes pieces of them, which he then packages and mails out to his wealthy elite buyers. When you put Fresh and What You Wish For side by side, you immediately realize the system operating in the background is exactly the same. Brendan is running a highly organized, heavily funded subscription service exclusively for the 1%. His wealthy clients receive specialized newsletters describing the victims in detail. They treat human beings exactly like items in a high-end luxury catalog, paying a massive premium for specific traits. Both films expose the exact same terrifying infrastructure. The true villain is the invisible network of elite buyers funding the entire operation. These clients never actually get their hands dirty. They use their massive fortunes to pay someone else to do the dirty work. They simply sit back in their massive estates and wait for the final product to arrive, completely insulated from the consequences. Whether it is the secretive agency organizing a private dinner or Brendan mailing out exclusive packages, the cinematic message remains perfectly consistent. Hollywood is showing us a system where the highest levels of society view everyday people as nothing more than a resource to be consumed. At one point in the film, the main character, Noah, finally wakes up inside of Brendan's facility. She quickly realizes she is trapped in a holding cell of sorts. She eventually discovers she isn't the only one. She begins communicating through the walls with other women being held. They explain the reality of their situation. Brendan intentionally keeps his captives alive for as long as possible to ensure the product remains perfectly fresh for his buyers. Noah eventually gets a clear glimpse into how Brendan manages this entire system. She witnesses the branding packaging, the vacuum sealing, and the shipping labels. The sheer normalcy of how he packages the product and ships it off to wealthy buyers makes the system absolutely terrifying. He treats the entire process like a regular online store. This perfectly illustrates how the elite view the working class as nothing more than a highly desirable product. The concept of treating human beings as a literal supply chain for the wealthy mirrors reality perfectly. We do not have to look very far into recent history to find an exact real-world equivalent to Brendan's business model. A highly publicized and convicted financier ran a massive, deeply funded operation entirely dedicated to sourcing vulnerable individuals for the global elite. Just like the subscription service shown in the film, this real-world operation functioned exactly like a VIP catalog. This individual kept detailed ledgers which contained the direct contact information of the most powerful politicians, royalty, and business leaders on the planet. He employed specialized recruiters whose entire job was to go out, gain the trust of specific targets, and pull them into a highly secure private network. Once trapped, these individuals were transported around the globe on private jets to massive private estates to serve these elite clients. The core system was identical to the operation we see in Fresh. The incredibly wealthy clients never did the recruiting or trapping themselves. They simply funded the operation, showed up to the private estate, and their requested product was waiting for them. The film uses the extreme metaphor of a butcher to reveal a very real truth. The highest levels of society have always funded invisible networks to commodify the vulnerable, keeping their own hands completely clean, while someone else handles the dirty work. Looking at both Fresh and What You Wish For side by side reveals a pretty clear message. Hollywood is explicitly showing us the hidden side of elite society. There is one interesting detail connecting both of these films I noticed while watching. At the very end of Fresh, when the final exclusive meal is being prepared, there are exactly 5 elite clients sitting at the table waiting for their meal. In What You Wish For, when the private dinner party finally begins, the secretive agency caters to exactly 5 elite guests. I found this specific number to be highly deliberate. While the film featured exactly 5 guests, in reality, the disgraced financier is heavily documented to have had exactly 6 main co-conspirators. This pattern visually represents the incredibly small circle of power that sits at the very top. Both films use the horrific metaphor of consumption to illustrate a completely documented reality. The ultra-wealthy possess the resources to fund entirely invisible networks designed to exploit the working class. To me, these movies serve as a dark reflection of the real world. The next time you see a headline about a secretive elite gathering or an exclusive high society art gala, remember what these movies told us. The truth is often revealed unknowingly through the media we consume. This isn't the only movie that exposed the elite system. The movie Apartment 7A shows us another side of this very same structure. How the elite use the promise of fame and power to lure in those they want to take advantage of. In this film, a young dancer learns the hard way that the price of fame is something not worth paying.
Another interesting video by The Truth is, make sure you guys subscribe to his channel, link can be found in the title of this video. This is another one that kind of proves that the higher you go in this world, the more demonic and disturbing it becomes. I want to know what you guys are thinking in the comment section down below. Leave all your thoughts and comments down there. Another interesting watch along. Be sure to hit the like button, do subscribe to the channel if we're newly watching. We've got plenty more watch alongs uploading, so don't go anywhere. Just turn your notification bells on so you don't miss out on future videos, and I look forward to seeing you guys on the next one.